Hi everyone, welcome to Concert Buddy. We make concert guides for the Yale classical music scene, giving information about the music, interesting facts and insights on the performer's perspective, all in a relatable way. My name is Griffin Roop, and with me is Juan Pedro Espinoza. Regardless of your background and experience with classical music, we hope to raise and spark your interest in what we do as musicians. We would absolutely love to see you at one of our upcoming concerts.
This week, we are overviewing Bruckner's 8th Symphony with Dr. Paul Hawkshaw. The 8th Symphony was the last that Bruckner finished completely. Normally, we would play the finalist edition of this symphony, but this week, we have the privilege of playing Dr. Hawkshaw's edition, based on an early draft of the piece. So let's hear a bit more from Dr. Hawkshaw himself.
Hi, Dr. Hawkshaw. So, what compelled you to write this version of Bruckner 8?
Wow. Well, first, I've admired Bruckner's music since I played in the youth orchestra. I had a chance to play many years ago in the youth orchestra in Canada under a wonderful Bruckner conductor, and we did 3 different symphonies. And since then, I've been addicted, totally and absolutely addicted. And I wrote my dissertation in graduate school about Bruckner, and I've spent most of the rest of my life studying him in some kind of way or another. And about 20 years ago or so, they asked me to do some editions for the collected works edition in Austria. They have all his works in a new collected works edition. And they asked me to do some of the symphonies. And the first one I did was this version of the 8th, and I've done, I mentioned before, I've done 2 other versions of the 8th, the 7th, and now I'm working on the 2nd. I always say to people about Bruckner, obviously I really love the music, I don't think everything he wrote is great, but I honestly never spent a moment with his music that I haven't enjoyed.
Yeah, and I've heard you spent a lot of moments with this. You said it took you about 12 years to write this?
It took about 12 years to do it. Yeah, I didn't write it. I just compiled the sources and put them in the right order and took the mistakes out of the earlier editions and things like that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Do you have any fun stories about the process of making this edition? If it took you 12 years, maybe there's something we could talk about.
Well, I don't think I have any stories that were actually funny or humorous and involved, but there were many exciting moments. I remember 3 or 4 times I found sources, sketches mostly, that we didn't know existed. I just went to the library and was just poking through stuff, and then all of a sudden right in front of me was a Bruckner autograph that we didn't know about. And for someone who's in my racket, that's a very exciting moment.
Which library did you find all of this information?
Most of the work that I do is in the Austrian National Library, in the music collection in Vienna. And I did find one there, but where you're more likely to find them is, I tried to go to all. First, I should say that probably 99% of Bruckner's sources are in Austria. Mm-hmm. There's a couple over here. I think there's one in Japan, but most everything else is in Austria. And he, as you know, in Austria, Bruckner is almost like Davy Crockett here. And he's a native son and very much loved, both personally and for his music. And so people collected his autographs after he passed away, and they've ended up, many of them, in different smaller libraries around Austria. And they're not often as organized as the National Library, which is like our libraries here. Everything is in the right place. But some of the smaller libraries aren't like that. They just have things in boxes, and they know sort of what they have. So you ask if I could see the box, and usually they'll just bring you the whole box, and then you could thumb through, and most of the time it's nothing. But every once in a while, you come up with a real,
you find a real gem.
Yeah. So being one of the world's leading Bruckner scholars, you obviously know a ton about this music, and I'm just wondering personally, what's your favorite part of this symphony that we're about to perform?
Oh dear. I guess I would probably say the Adagio, but this is really one of my favorite works of all time. And I think another wonderful part is the trio, which is just delightfully one of the most delightful, happy movements that he wrote. And it's the closest thing to a love song, I think, just about that he ever wrote. So I like the trio too, but I like the whole symphony. So
Yeah, I'm sitting in the back row as one of the trombonists, and ironically, one of my favorite moments is when the strings have this like little 16th note melody in this in the third movement, and I'm not even playing. It's really fun to listen to.
Well, the Adagio is one of the great adagios of all time. I don't think there's any question about that. And it's just, when it's well done, it's so spectacularly beautiful. And you guys are really playing. It's going to be really great, I have to tell you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, and the last question we have for you today is, why should people come listen to this concert?
Well, first of all, they're going to hear one of the great symphonies of the 19th century. I don't think there's any question about that. And I think for those who don't know Bruckner or are not familiar with Bruckner, we should alert them that it's long, but it's incredibly beautiful, and the orchestra sound is really wonderful, and it's full of really terrific melodies and things. And so you guys know you've been playing it for a week already. So there's lots of wonderful things for people to hear. But the other thing I always say when I get asked a question like this is that I'm reminded of what my mother used to say all the time, was that listening to Bruckner is like eating olives. And you have to eat 7 of them. But after you eat 7, you can't eat anything without them.
Yeah.
So you have to be patient with him a little bit.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, but if you're patient, you'll be rewarded. Yeah.
Awesome.
You so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it's my pleasure.
All right, everyone. You heard it here first. Bruckner symphonies are just like olives, and you have to listen to them to see if you like them. Personally, I couldn't think of a better one to listen to than Bruckner 8, and I really think everyone should come hear this absolute masterwork that the Yale Philharmonic is putting on for us. On that note, we'd like to thank everyone for listening. We hope you learned something along the way, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, everyone.